Maurice Nicol's Psychological Commentary, Volume 2, based on Gurdjieff's teachings, Birdlip, November 18, 1944, Commentary on the Mind, Part 2. Now, perhaps you may have noticed that by a changing of attitude, everything becomes quite different. What does a change of attitude mean? It means not minding in the same way because attitudes are mental, not taking things with our minds in the way that we are accustomed to. To realize that we can mind differently, that we can transcend our present minds is a wonderful valuation of consciousness. In fact, a lovely experience. A change of attitude may make some situation which seems insurmountable become nothing difficult at all. But we do not see our minds with the ingrained attitudes and with the ideas from which come our modes of thinking. We do not see the root of so much of our trouble as lying in the kind of mind we have acquired mechanically, unchallenged, taken for granted. It is like having been given a gramophone with a few records, not knowing that either that there are other forms of music. Now, to that form of mind, those are the only gramophone records that can be played by it. The mind is then a gramophone with a few records. Everything else we suffer patiently, as it were, or as we say, as I said above, well, I mustn't mind. I mustn't not try to mind. To repeat this is not working on oneself. It is a very shortcut to martyrdom, which all it's with all of it's an unpleasant aroma. You all know people who go about saying, I must not mind, or who am I to mind? And all that pious nonsense, which is so irritating and rightly so. I fancy that all the forms of unpleasant manifestations of other people that we must allow and understand and endure, among the worst are such pathetic manifestations of this brave injured suffering. The work is a very strong, clean thing, and so demands a great deal of inner cleanness and strength and sincerity with oneself. Who are the unclean in the Gospels? Every form of hypocrisy and pretense, every form of looking down one's nose, every form of sighing slightly, every form of pseudo patience. Yes, all this is uncleanliness, and we come to know it. It is a very good stage to reach when one knows it. Let us observe ourselves also from the angle of minding, and let us try to register moments when we mind something and observe more deeply our intellectual center, our thoughts, our ideas and attitudes, if we can, to see why it is that we mind. And here also come in many forms of imagination, many forms of expectancy, many wrong ideas about ourselves. In fact, all the imagination that comes from false personality. All this is a very long task. It is a very long way, a long journey in which we make mistake after mistake. But you may be quite certain if you have a genuine valuation of the work, you will find the right roads or be brought back to them in an indescribable way. And you may also be certain that if you're on this journey, which is so strange and so quite unlike anything you thought with your ordinary minds, you will begin after a time to see you used to mind so much and now do not mind in the same way. And this means that once your mind is changed, that your whole way of thinking is changed. And then you will inevitably be shown many places in your lives where you minded so foolishly and wrongly. This is because of an increase of consciousness. Now, this light of consciousness is shed also in the past into the time body. And from what we are conscious of now, we can see as having acted on us in the past, as having misled us, simply because we were accepting ourselves and our minds as we were brought up, even thinking who we were or where we were going. Remember that every stage of slightly increased consciousness begins to alter us and the past. The past is living in us. It is all around us, not a long way off. Whatever you do now alters the past as well as the future. Whatever you cease rightly to mind, now you will change in the past. All those similar mindings, whatever new insight you gain, now will give you an insight into your past and change it. Consciousness is the force that changes us. It is a good thing to think about because it means that in recurrence, you will meet your more conscious self as it is now. Much earlier, even perhaps at school, and feeling there is someone showing you something, someone speaking to you. It is yourself. How can this happen if you always mind the same way as you always did and have never changed your mind or seen any reason to do so?